High Archon Vexthor stood before the massive display screen in the command center of the Krell hegemony's central world. His four eyes studied the holographic map that showed over 2,000 star systems, all under his empire's control. For 300 years, the Krell had expanded across the galaxy, without meeting any real resistance. Every species they encountered either joined willingly or was conquered quickly. Today, the survey teams had returned with news of another system. Vexthor's scaled hand moved across the controls, bringing up the report. A yellow star, unremarkable in every way. 8 planets, the third one showing signs of intelligent life. The species called themselves humans. What is their technology level? Vexthor asked his senior military advisor, Commander Drexnil. Primitive, my lord, Drexnil replied, his voice carrying the usual confidence of Krell superiority. They achieved faster-than-light travel only 20 years ago. Their weapons are crude. Their ships are slow. They do not even have a unified planetary government. Several nations still compete for power and resources. Vexthor nodded, satisfied. This would be an easy addition to the hegemony. The third planet, called Earth, possessed valuable minerals and water. The humans themselves could be useful as workers in the Empire's many facilities. Prepare the invasion fleet, Vexthor began. But a voice interrupted him. My lord, I must speak. It was archivist Milsha, an elderly Krell female who maintained the historical records. She rarely attended military planning sessions. Vexthor's eyes narrowed. This is not the time for history lessons, archivist. But it is, my lord, Milsha insisted, stepping forward. Her movements were slow, her scales dulled with age, but her voice remained strong. I have found references to humans in the Forbidden Archives. A murmur went through the command center. The Forbidden Archives contained records from the First Galactic War, a conflict so ancient that most considered it legend. That war had occurred 50,000 years ago, long before the Krell had even developed space travel. Impossible, Drexnil said. These humans barely have interstellar capability. They could not have been spacefaring 50,000 years ago. The records are clear, Milsha said, activating her data tablet. Text appeared on the main screen, written in the old language of the first galactic civilization. The humans were participants in the war. They were not the most advanced species nor the most numerous. But the archives contain warnings about them. Vexthor leaned forward, reading the translated text. His translator spoke the words aloud. The humans possess an adaptation capability beyond normal evolutionary parameters. They learn from every encounter, every defeat, every death. They do not surrender. They do not forget. They do not forgive. Mythology, Vexthor said dismissively. Ancient civilizations often created stories to explain their defeats. These warnings are probably about some other species entirely. Milsha scrolled through more documents. There are multiple entries, my lord. One describes them as unkillable, not because they cannot die, but because they refuse to accept death as an ending. Another warning states that humans were exiled from the galactic community by mutual agreement of all species. Exiled for what? Asked Drexnil, his tone skeptical. The record does not say explicitly, Milsha admitted. But there is a phrase repeated in multiple documents. It says, they make war into evolution and evolution favors the ruthless. Vexthor stood silent for a moment, considering. Then he laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the command center. You want me to fear a species that lives on one planet? A species that fights among itself? Look at them, archivist. Our sensors show they still have poverty, disease, and conflict. They are children playing with toys they barely understand. The warnings suggest we should avoid contact, Milsha pressed, or at minimum approach with caution and respect. Respect? Vexthor's voice rose. The Krell hegemony does not respect primitives. We offer them the opportunity to join our empire and benefit from our superior civilization. If they refuse, we take what we need. This is the way it has always been. Drexnil activated a tactical display. My lord, our invasion fleet can be ready within 1 week. 500 warships, each capable of destroying their largest cities. We will demand surrender. If they resist, we will make examples of their population centers until they submit. The other military officers nodded in agreement. The Hegemony Council, watching via remote connection, added their voices of support. Only Milsha remained silent, her ancient eyes filled with worry. The council votes, announced the council speaker. All in favor of immediate annexation of the human system? One by one, the council members signaled their approval. Wealth, resources, and new territory awaited. The humans would be a footnote in the hegemony's grand story of expansion. Archivist Milsha, the speaker said. You alone dissent? I do, she said quietly. The warnings are clear. We should not disturb humanity. Your dissent is recorded, the speaker said with barely concealed contempt. But the decision is made. High Archon Vexthor, you have the Council's full authorization. Vexthor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Commander Drexnil, begin preparations immediately. I want the humans to understand the power of the Krell hegemony from the moment we arrive. We will broadcast our demands in their primitive languages. We will give them one rotation of their planet to surrender completely. And if they refuse, Drexnil asked, then we demonstrate what happens to species that defy us, destroy their military installations, level one of their major cities. They will surrender quickly enough once they see the futility of resistance. As the meeting ended and military personnel rushed to their tasks, Milsha remained standing before the display screen. She looked at the image of Earth, a blue and green world so similar to dozens of other planets the hegemony had conquered. But the warnings echoed in her mind. She returned to the forbidden archives, searching for more information. The deeper she dug into the ancient files, the more concerned she became. One entry caught her attention, a personal log from a military commander of the first galactic civilization. We won the war, the log stated. We drove humanity back to their home system and forced them to agree to isolation. But we did not win through superior strength. We won because we had allies and humanity stood alone. Even so, they nearly destroyed us. Every battle we won, they learned. Every tactic we used, they copied and improved. By the end, they were matching our technology despite starting centuries behind us. The peace terms were not our choice. They were humanity's. They chose isolation. They chose to leave the galaxy alone. And we who claimed victory were grateful they made that choice. This is the truth no one wants recorded. We did not exile humanity. Humanity exiled itself, and we were too terrified to stop them. Milsha saved the file and sent it directly to Vexthor's personal communication device. She knew he would not read it. His pride, like that of all Krell leaders, would not allow him to see the danger. 1 week later, 500 Krell warships activated their hyperspace drives and jumped toward human space. They carried enough firepower to conquer 100 worlds. Their crews were confident, experienced, and certain of victory. Not one of them had read the warnings. Not one of them understood what they were about to face, and not one of them would ever return home the same. The Krell fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system in perfect formation. 500 warships, each 3 times the size of humanity's largest vessel, arranged themselves in an intimidating display of military power. Every ship gleamed with polished armor and bristled with weapons that could crack planets high. Archon Vexthor watched from his flagships command center as sensors detected human vessels scrambling to respond. 12 small military ships, clearly outdated, moved to intercept. Vexthor's translator began broadcasting on all human frequencies. Attention, humans of Earth. I am High Archon Vexthor of the Krell hegemony. Your system now falls under our jurisdiction. You have 1 rotation of your planet to surrender all military assets and accept integration into the hegemony. Resistance is futile. Your technology is inferior. Your forces are inadequate. Accept our terms and your transition will be peaceful. Refuse and we will take what we require by force. On Earth, chaos erupted. The United Nations Emergency Council convened immediately. Representatives from every nation argued about how to respond. Some wanted to negotiate. Others insisted on fighting. Most were simply terrified. Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force studied the tactical displays in disbelief. 500 ships, she whispered. We have 47 in total scattered across the system. Most are cargo vessels with basic weapons. We need more time, said the UN Secretary-General. Send a response. Tell them we need time to discuss their terms. The response was transmitted. Vexthor's reply came within minutes. You have 24 of your hours. Not one moment more. Humanity tried everything in those 24 hours. Diplomats drafted surrender terms. Military leaders planned impossible defenses. Scientists desperately searched for any advantage. But everyone knew the truth. Earth had no chance in a direct confrontation. When the deadline expired, humanity's answer came from a young lieutenant who had been given command of Earth's response simply because everyone more senior was too afraid to speak. His message was brief. We need more time to coordinate a proper response across all our nations. Vexthor's patience ended. Commander Drexnil, demonstrate the cost of defiance. Destroy the human military vessels, then select one of their cities. Make it an example. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 17 minutes. Krell energy weapons tore through human shields like they were not there. The 12 defending ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Not one Krell vessel was even damaged. Then the bombardment of Earth began. The city of Mumbai, home to 20 million people, was selected for demonstration purposes. The first strike destroyed the city's power grid. The second leveled government buildings. The third created a crater 3 kilometers wide in the city center. Millions died in minutes. Enough, Admiral Chen transmitted, her voice breaking. Please, enough. We surrender. Too late, Vexthor replied. You had your chance for peaceful surrender. Now you will submit through pain. Over the next week, Krell forces occupied Mars, Europa, and 12 outer colonies. Wherever humans resisted, the response was overwhelming violence. Krell ground troops, each one stronger and better armored than any human soldier, swept through resistance positions. Orbital strikes destroyed any gathering of human forces. 3 million humans died in the first month. 10 million in the second. The Krell established occupation zones, enslaved human workers, and began extracting resources. Victory appeared complete, but something was wrong. Commander Drexenil noticed it first. My lord, the human attacks continue. We control all major population centers, yet we lose soldiers every day. Insurgents, Vexthor said dismissively. Every conquered species has them. They will learn the futility of resistance. Except the attacks did not stop. They increased. Humans who had been farmers became bomb makers. Scientists became weapons designers. Children became intelligence gatherers. Every occupied world became a nightmare for Krell soldiers. The humans fought without honor, Krell officers complained. They hid among civilians. They used suicide attacks. They poisoned water supplies. They hacked computer systems. They ambushed patrols and disappeared before reinforcements arrived. Worse, they learned impossibly fast. After the first month, humans had figured out how to jam Krell communications in limited areas. After 2 months, they were using captured Krell weapons. After 3 months, they had reverse-engineered Krell shields for their own ships. On Mars, a Krell patrol found an abandoned human laboratory. Inside were detailed dissection notes on Krell biology. The humans had been studying every dead Krell soldier, learning anatomy, identifying weaknesses, testing which Earth diseases might affect Krell physiology. Commander Drexnil captured a human resistance fighter, a woman named Maria Santos. During interrogation, he demanded to know where the human military command was hiding. She smiled, blood on her teeth from his beating. There is no central command. We all decided to fight. Every person, every family, every city. You can't defeat us because there's no one to surrender. Your cities are destroyed. Your fleets are gone. You have nothing, Drexenil said. We have each other, Maria replied. And we have something you don't understand. You're here for resources and territory. We're fighting for our home, our families, our survival. You can kill us, but you can't make us stop. Drexenil executed her, but her words haunted him. How could a species fight without hope of victory? What kind of creatures continued resistance when defeat was certain? Archivist Milsha, still on the Krell homeworld, continued reviewing the ancient warnings. She found a passage that made her blood run cold. Humanity treats war as evolution. Every engagement is a learning opportunity. Every death teaches the survivors. They do not fight to win quickly. They fight to ensure they survive no matter how long it takes. And they always survive. She transmitted the passage to Vexthor. He deleted it without reading. 6 months into the occupation, human forces launched their first coordinated counterattack. It targeted a Krell supply depot on Ganymede. The attackers used Krell weapons, Krell tactics, and Krell communication codes they had somehow stolen. They destroyed the depot and escaped before reinforcements arrived. 3 days later, another attack hit a Krell command center on Mars. Then another struck a patrol fleet near Saturn. Each attack was more sophisticated than the last. Admiral Chen, operating from a hidden base in the asteroid belt, coordinated the resistance efforts. Her forces had grown from scattered survivors to an organized guerrilla army. They had no chance of defeating the Krell in open battle, but they were making the occupation costly. Every week we get stronger, she told her staff. We're learning their technology. We're adapting their weapons. We're studying their tactics. They thought we would break. They were wrong. On a damaged Krell cruiser that had been ambushed near Titan, the captain filed a report that would change everything. The humans are not fighting like primitives anymore. They are fighting like us. No, they are fighting better than us. They use deception, creativity, and strategies we cannot predict. Request additional forces. This occupation is becoming untenable. Vexthor read the report and felt doubt for the first time. He had conquered 40 species during his career. None had fought like this. None had adapted like this. None had refused to acknowledge defeat. Perhaps he thought for just a moment the ancient warnings had been real after all. Then he dismissed the thought. The Krell would prevail. They always had. He would simply commit more forces, use harsher measures, and break the humans completely. It was exactly the wrong decision. But Vexthor would not realize that until far too late. 1 year into the occupation, the Krell hegemony controlled less territory in the Sol system than they had after the first month. What should have been a simple conquest had become a grinding war of attrition. Vexthor stared at casualty reports that made no sense. The Krell had superior technology, superior numbers, and superior firepower, yet they were losing ground. "How many ships did we lose this week?" he asked Commander Drexnil. 7, my lord. 2 destroyers, 3 frigates, and 2 supply vessels. The humans are using ambush tactics in the asteroid belt. They hide among the rocks, strike without warning, and disappear before we can respond. And our ground forces? Drexnil hesitated. We lost control of the mining colony on Titan. The humans used chemical weapons we have never encountered, something they created from local resources. It is lethal to Krell biology but harmless to humans. 14,000 soldiers died before we could evacuate. Vexthor slammed his fist on the console. How are they doing this? They are primitives. They are learning, my lord, Drexnil said quietly. Faster than any species I have ever seen. They take our technology and improve it. They study our tactics and counter them. Every battle teaches them something new. What Drexnil did not say, but both of them knew, was that Krell morale was collapsing. Soldiers who had conquered a dozen worlds now feared patrol duty in the Sol system. They called it the graveyard. They whispered that humans did not fight fair, that they were monsters who refused to die properly. On Earth, in a hidden facility beneath the ruins of Geneva, humanity had transformed. The desperate survivors of the first months had become hardened warriors. Dr. James Wheeler, formerly a civilian physicist, now led the technology adaptation program. We've successfully integrated Krell power systems into our ship designs, he told Admiral Chen. The new vessels are faster than anything the Krell have. We also solved the shield harmonics problem. Our shields are now equal to theirs. How long until production? Chen asked. The first squadron launches in 2 weeks. 20 ships, each one designed specifically to kill Krell cruisers. Chen nodded, but her expression remained grim. It's not enough. We need something bigger. Something that will change the strategic balance. We have something, Wheeler said, pulling up classified files. We captured a Krell flagship database 3 months ago. It contains complete technical specifications for every ship class in their fleet. But more importantly, it contains navigational data for their empire. Every Krell world, every military base, every supply route. Chen's eyes widened. Can we use it? We already are. We've been sending stealth probes beyond the Sol system. The Krell don't even know we can travel to their space. We're mapping their empire, identifying weaknesses, and preparing for the next phase. Which is, Wheeler smiled grimly, we stop defending. We start attacking. Across human-controlled space, the transformation was total. Factories that once made consumer goods now produced weapons. Schools taught military tactics alongside mathematics. Children learned to identify Krell ship types on sight. Humanity had become a species entirely focused on survival and revenge. The Krell noticed the change during a routine patrol near Jupiter. A squadron of 6 Krell destroyers encountered 3 human vessels. By all logic, the humans should have fled. Instead, they attacked. The battle lasted 8 minutes. When it ended, all 6 Krell destroyers were destroyed. The human ships were damaged but operational. They transmitted no message, no taunt, no demand. They simply continued their patrol as if killing Krell vessels was routine. Commander Drexnil watched the battle recording in horror. How did they move so fast? Those maneuvers should be impossible. They modified their engines, a Krell engineer explained. They are using our power systems, but with their own control software. The combination allows for maneuvers our ships cannot match, then improve our ships. We are trying, Commander, but the humans are innovating faster than we can respond. Every time we adapt to their tactics, they change them. It is like fighting smoke. The psychological impact on Krell forces became severe. A captured Krell officer, broken after weeks of human interrogation, revealed the depth of the problem. "We thought we were the apex predators of the galaxy," he told his human captors. "But you are something worse. You are prey that became predators. You studied us, learned from us, and became better than us. My people are terrified." The human interrogator, a former teacher named David Park, recorded everything carefully. "Tell me about your homeworld," he said. "Why? You cannot reach it. It is hundreds of light years away, protected by thousands of warships." David smiled coldly. "We'll reach it eventually. We always reach our enemies. It's just a matter of time." On the Krell homeworld, archivist Milsha requested an emergency meeting with the Hegemony Council. She was granted 10 minutes. The ancient warnings were accurate, she told the assembled leaders. Humanity is not like other species. They have a survival drive that exceeds normal parameters. They adapt to threats faster than evolution should allow. And most dangerous of all, they are now teaching these skills to their children. This war has created a generation of humans who know nothing but conflict. When they mature, they will be formidable beyond measure. "What do you suggest?" asked one council member. "Immediate withdrawal. Offer reparations. Seek peace before it is too late." The council erupted in angry protests. "We do not surrender to primitives. The hegemony has never retreated. One more push and the humans will break." Vexthor, listening via communication link from his flagship, made his decision. "The council is correct. We will not retreat. We will escalate. I am requesting an additional 2,000 ships and authorization to use any means necessary to crush human resistance." The council approved immediately. The Krell had never lost a war. They would not start now. But as Milsha left the council chambers, she knew the truth. The Krell had already lost. They just did not know it yet. She returned to the Forbidden Archives and found the final entry about humanity from the First Galactic War. "We made the mistake of attacking them," the ancient text read. "We thought we were the stronger species. We were wrong. Humanity does not simply fight to win. They fight to ensure their enemy can never threaten them again. They do not seek victory. They seek extinction of the threat. By the time we understood this, it was almost too late. We survived only because we surrendered completely and gave them everything they demanded. Even then, they made us afraid of what they might become. Do not make our mistake. Do not attack humanity. Do not give them a reason to evolve into weapons." Milsha transmitted the text to every Krell officer she could reach. Most deleted it immediately. A few read it and quietly began making plans to survive what was coming. In the Sol system, Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the new flagship, humanity's first true capital ship. They had named it Mumbai, after the city the Krell had destroyed. It was built from stolen Krell technology, improved with human engineering, and powered by pure human rage. "All systems ready?" "Admiral," reported the tactical officer. Chen looked at the holographic display showing Krell positions throughout the system. Soon she would take the fight beyond human space. Soon she would make the Krell understand the true cost of their invasion. "Prepare the fleet for offensive operations," she ordered. "It's time to show them what humans can do when we stop being afraid and start being angry." The war was about to enter its next phase, and the Krell had no idea how badly they had miscalculated. The reclamation of Sol system took 3 months of brutal fighting. Human forces, now equipped with hybrid technology that combined their creativity with Krell power, swept through the occupation zones with methodical efficiency. The Krell, who had once been confident conquerors, found themselves fighting for survival against an enemy they no longer understood. Admiral Chen directed the final assault on the Krell command station orbiting Mars from the bridge of the Mumbai. Around her flagship, 50 human warships maneuvered in perfect coordination. They were not the scattered, desperate defenders of 2 years ago. They were a unified military force with purpose and capability. "Target their shield generators," Chen ordered. "Weapons free." The human fleet unleashed concentrated fire on the Krell station. New weapons, designed specifically to counter Krell defenses, tore through shields that had seemed impenetrable. The station broke apart in a series of explosions. 3,000 Krell personnel died in seconds. Mars orbit is clear. reported the tactical officer. All Krell forces have been eliminated or have retreated. Chen allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Broadcast on all frequencies. Any Krell forces remaining in the Sol system have 24 hours to leave. After that, we destroy them wherever we find them. The response came quickly. Every remaining Krell vessel activated their hyperspace drives and fled. They left behind equipment, supplies, and even wounded soldiers in their haste to escape. Commander Drexnil, commanding one of the fleeing ships, filed his report to High Archon Vexthor with shaking hands. My Lord, Sol system has fallen. Human forces now control all territory. We suffered 98% casualties. Recommend immediate peace negotiations. Vexthor's response was fury. There will be no negotiations. We will rally our forces and crush them. How dare they defeat the Krell hegemony? But rallying was difficult. News of the defeat spread through the hegemony, and with it came fear. The humans had not simply repelled an invasion. They had destroyed it completely. And now, terrifyingly, human ships were appearing in Krell space. The first attack came against a Krell mining colony in the Proxima sector, 12 light-years from Sol. Human strike forces emerged from hyperspace, destroyed the orbital facilities, and vanished before Krell reinforcements arrived. They took no territory, captured no resources. They simply demonstrated that nowhere was safe. More attacks followed. Supply convoys disappeared. Border stations went silent. Krell world suddenly found human surveillance drones in their orbit, watching and recording everything. The psychological impact was devastating. The Krell had always been the invaders, the conquerors, the ones who controlled the flow of war. Now they were the ones being hunted. Their soldiers stopped sleeping well. Their civilians demanded protection. Their government fractured under the pressure. Vexthor convened an emergency council meeting. We must respond with overwhelming force. I propose we commit our entire military to destroying the humans once and for all. Council member Rixisha objected. And if we fail? We would leave our core worlds defenseless. Other species might see this as an opportunity to revolt. We will not fail, Vexthor shouted. The humans are still primitives. We simply need more ships, better tactics. Archivist Milsha, present again despite her advanced age, spoke quietly. My lord, they are not primitives anymore. They are what we made them. Every attack we launched taught them. Every ship we sent made them stronger. We created the perfect enemy. Then we will destroy what we created, Vexthor said coldly. But destroying humanity proved impossible. Human forces did not fight like a traditional military. They struck without pattern, targeted infrastructure instead of armies, and used psychological warfare that devastated Krell morale. Worse, they were infiltrating Krell society itself. On the Krell industrial world of Kresvik, factories suddenly began experiencing mysterious malfunctions. Production of military vessels dropped by 40%. It took 3 weeks to discover that human saboteurs had infiltrated the workforce, disguising themselves as Krell using sophisticated holographic technology stolen and improved from Krell databases. On the Krell colony world of Drentha, anti-war protests erupted among the civilian population. Krell citizens, fed propaganda by human psychological operations teams, began questioning whether the war was worth the cost. Some even helped human infiltrators, convinced that peace was the only option. The Krell leadership realized with horror that humans were not just fighting a military war. They were fighting a total war, targeting every aspect of Krell society, and they were winning. Admiral Chen, meanwhile, was planning something unprecedented. Her intelligence officers had analyzed the stolen Krell database completely. They knew the location of every major Krell world, every military base, every strategic resource. And they had identified the perfect targets. 3 core worlds, she told her senior staff. We hit them simultaneously. We don't invade. We don't occupy. We demonstrate what we can do if they continue this war. Dr. Wheeler, now her chief science advisor, presented the weapon. We call them relativistic kinetic impactors. Missiles accelerated to 90% of light speed. By the time Krell sensors detect them, it is too late to intercept. Each one carries the kinetic energy of a large nuclear weapon, but there is no radiation signature and no defense. You want to bombard civilian worlds? Asked one officer, clearly uncomfortable. I want to give them a choice, Chen replied. Stop the war now or face consequences worse than what they did to Mumbai. I take no pleasure in this, but they need to understand that attacking Earth was the worst mistake they ever made. The strike occurred 1 week later. 3 Krell core worlds, each home to billions, suddenly detected incoming projectiles. Warnings were issued too late. Evacuation was impossible. The first impactor struck the Krell world of Vexthor, creating a crater visible from space and triggering earthquakes across an entire continent. 2 million Krell died instantly. 5 million more perished in the resulting disasters. The second impactor hit Vexthor, destroying the planet's largest industrial complex and creating a dust cloud that would block sunlight for months. The death toll reached 3 million before they could even start counting. The third impactor struck Drexnol, a military world. It hit the main naval base, destroying 200 warships being constructed and killing everyone in the facility. 1 million dead in a flash of kinetic energy. Then the human broadcast began, transmitted on every frequency the Krell used. Admiral Chen's face appeared on screens across the hegemony. "People of the Krell hegemony," she said, her voice calm but hard. 2 years ago you attacked my world. You killed millions of my people. You thought we would surrender. You were wrong. Today we demonstrate what we learned from you. These attacks were warnings. We could have struck your homeworld. We could have destroyed your entire civilization. We chose mercy, even though you never showed us any." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You have one choice. End this war now, withdraw all forces to your territory, and never threaten humanity again. Or we continue. Next time we will not show mercy. Next time we will not stop until your empire no longer exists. You have 72 hours to decide." The broadcast ended. Across the hegemony, panic spread. Civilians demanded their leaders end the war. Military officers quietly calculated that humanity now had the capacity to destroy every major Krell world. Politicians who had supported the invasion suddenly claimed they had always been against it. Vexthor, watching the carnage from his flagship, finally understood what Milsha had been trying to tell him. The humans had not just become equal to the Krell, they had surpassed them. Worse, they had learned the one lesson the Krell had never mastered: how to fight without honor, without rules, without mercy. "My lord," Commander Drexnil said carefully, "perhaps we should consider their terms." "Never," Vexthor said, but his voice lacked conviction. "I will not surrender to primitives." "They are not primitives anymore," Drexnil said. "They are the weapon we created by attacking them, and they will destroy us if we do not stop." Vexthor made his final decision. "Prepare all remaining forces. We will strike at Earth itself. One final attack with everything we have. We will either win completely or die trying." It was exactly what Chen had predicted he would do. Human intelligence had analyzed Vexthor's psychology completely. They knew pride would not let him surrender. They knew he would commit everything to one last assault, and they were ready for him. "He is bringing the entire Krell fleet to us," Chen told her officers. "Good. We will end this war where it began, and when we are done, the galaxy will know that humanity is not to be threatened, not to be attacked, and definitely not to be underestimated." The final battle was coming, and only one species would survive it intact. High Archon Vexthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Pride of Krell, surrounded by the largest military force the hegemony had ever assembled. 3,000 warships filled the void of space, representing every available vessel from across the Empire. This was not just an invasion force. It was everything the Krell had. "This is where we restore our honor," Vexthor announced to his fleet commanders. "We will jump directly to Earth orbit. We will overwhelm their defenses through sheer numbers. We will reduce their planet to ash, and we will show the galaxy that the Krell hegemony does not accept defeat." Commander Drexnil, standing beside him, felt only dread. But orders were orders. "All ships report ready, my lord." "We can begin the jump sequence on your command." "Begin," Vexthor ordered. 3,000 Krell warships activated their hyperspace drives simultaneously. For a moment, space bent around them. Then they were gone, hurtling through hyperspace toward Earth. They emerged exactly where they planned, in high orbit around humanity's homeworld. But what they found waiting for them was not the desperate defense they expected. 800 human warships hung in perfect formation around Earth. Each one was sleek, deadly, and built with the sole purpose of killing Krell vessels. Behind them, orbital platforms bristled with weapons. The moon itself had been transformed into a fortress, its surface covered with missile batteries and energy cannons. Admiral Chen sat calmly on the bridge of the Mumbai as the Krell fleet appeared. "They came," she said simply. "Just as we knew they would. All ships execute Operation Homecoming." What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. The human fleet did not charge forward heroically. They did not engage in ship-to-ship combat. Instead, they executed a plan they had practiced for months, using tactics designed specifically to destroy a large force with minimal losses. The first wave of attacks came from the moon. Thousands of relativistic kinetic missiles launched simultaneously, crossing the distance to the Krell fleet in seconds. The Krell had no time to evade. 50 ships exploded before they could even return fire. The second wave came from human vessels equipped with new weapons based on Krell technology, but improved beyond recognition. Energy beams that could pierce 3 ships in a single shot. Plasma torpedoes that tracked their targets through any evasion. Electromagnetic pulses that disabled Krell shields before conventional weapons finished them. Vexthor watched in horror as his fleet, his proud armada, began dying in massive numbers. "All ships return fire! Target their capital ships." But human ships were faster, more maneuverable, and commanded by officers who had studied every Krell tactic for 2 years. They dodged, weaved, and struck with precision that made the Krell look clumsy. Every shot the humans fired seemed to hit. Every shot the Krell fired seemed to miss. "We are losing ships at an unacceptable rate," Drexenil reported, his voice shaking. 300 destroyed in the first 10 minutes. "Recommend immediate retreat." "No retreat," Vexthor shouted. "We end this now." But the battle was already over. The humans had planned for every contingency. When Krell ships tried to cluster for protection, human missiles used their own ships as shields. When they tried to spread out, human vessels picked them off one by one. When they tried to run faster, human ships hunted them down. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the pride of Krell floated dead in space, its power systems destroyed, its crew barely alive. Around it drifted the wreckage of 2,800 Krell warships. Only 200 had managed to jump away, and most of those were too damaged to be combat effective. Admiral Chen ordered the pride of Krell captured intact. Boarding teams seized the ship and brought Vexthor before her as a prisoner. The High Archon, stripped of his armor and dignity, stood before the human admiral with hatred in his eyes. "You should have died," he said bitterly. "You were primitives. We should have crushed you easily." "You made one mistake," Chen replied coldly. "You assumed that because we were less advanced, we were less capable. You forgot that species do not survive by being strong. They survive by being adaptable, and humans are the most adaptable species in the galaxy. What will you do with me?" Vexthor asked. "You will watch," Chen said. "You will watch as we dismantle everything you built. You will witness the price of attacking humanity. And then, if you survive, you will tell everyone what happens to species that threaten us." Operation Reckoning began the next day. Human fleets no longer needed to defend Sol system, jumped to Krell space in massive numbers. But they did not come as conquerors. They came as destroyers. Every military installation in the hegemony was located and eliminated. Every warship was hunted down and destroyed. Every government facility was disabled. The humans did not occupy Krell worlds. They did not enslave Krell people. They simply ensured the hegemony could never threaten anyone again. Archivist Milsha, witnessing the systematic destruction of her civilization from the archives, understood finally what the ancient warnings had meant. Humanity did not fight to win territory or resources. They fought to eliminate threats permanently. They fought to ensure survival, and survival meant their enemy could never rise again. She began writing, recording everything for whatever came after. Future generations needed to understand what had happened and why. "We ignored the warnings," she wrote. "We saw a species that appeared weak and assumed they would be easy prey. We did not understand that humans had survived on their world by being the most dangerous predators in their ecosystem. We did not realize that every challenge made them stronger, every threat made them evolve, every death taught the survivors. We attacked their home. We killed their people. We thought this would break them. Instead, it transformed them into something terrifying. They learned our technology in months, not decades. They created weapons we had never imagined. They fought without rules, without mercy, and without stopping. The ancient warnings were clear. Humanity was feared not because they were strong, but because they refused to accept defeat. They turned war itself into a tool for evolution. Every battle made them better. Every loss taught them more. By attacking them, we created the perfect enemy. Now our empire burns, not because humans want our territory, not because they seek resources, but because they want to ensure we can never threaten them again. This is the price we paid for disregarding the warnings. This is the final lesson. Never attack a species that treats survival as their only law. The war officially ended after 3 years. The Krell hegemony, which had controlled 2,000 star systems, was broken into dozens of small independent states. Their military was completely dismantled. Their government was dissolved. Their people were left to rebuild from the ashes of their own pride. Vexthor was released, as Chen had promised. He returned to the Krell homeworld to find it intact but humbled. The humans had specifically avoided civilian casualties where possible. They had destroyed only military targets, but the psychological damage was complete. The Krell, once proud conquerors, were now a species afraid of their own shadow. He lived for 20 more years, forced to watch as the galaxy learned the lesson his people had taught at such terrible cost. Every species now knew what happened when you attacked humanity. Every military academy in the galaxy added human history to their curriculum. Every politician mentioned Earth as an example of what not to provoke. Admiral Chen, meanwhile, stood before the United Nations Assembly to receive humanity's highest honors. But she took no joy in the victory. "We won," she told the assembled leaders, "but we paid a terrible price for this war we never wanted. Millions of humans died. Our cities were destroyed. We lost our innocence as a species. We learned how to kill efficiently, how to fight without mercy, how to think like conquerors even though we only wanted to be left alone. The galaxy now fears us," she continued. "They see us as we were forced to become. But we must remember who we were before the Krell came. We must hold on to our humanity, even as we maintain the strength to defend it. We must be ready to fight, but never eager for war." 50 years later, the galaxy existed in an uneasy balance. Humanity controlled a modest sphere of space around Earth, making no attempts to expand. They traded peacefully with other species, shared technology, and participated in galactic councils. But every species knew the truth that lay beneath the peaceful exterior. Humanity had proven what the ancient warnings had stated. They were the species you did not attack, did not threaten, and definitely did not underestimate. They would live peacefully if allowed, but if forced to fight, they would fight until only one side remained standing. In the Forbidden Archives, now reopened and made public, Milsha's final entry became required reading for every student in the galaxy. The humans asked for nothing but to be left alone. We denied them that simple request. We paid the final price for our arrogance. Let this be a lesson that echoes through all time. Some species should never be awakened. Some enemies should never be created. And some warnings should never be ignored. Humanity sleeps peacefully now, content in their corner of the galaxy. But they sleep with one eye open, their weapons ready, their memory long. They remember what we did. They remember what they became. And they will ensure that no one ever forces them to become that again.